Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful system for learning that totally flips the script on why we even read in the first place. It's not about memorizing more, it's about building knowledge you can actually use.
So let's just dive right in with a big question. When you pick up a book, is your goal to download every single word into your brain? I think most of us kind of feel like it is, but what if that's the completely wrong way to think about it? Well, the answer, believe it or not, is a hard no. Our brains are actually designed to forget. Forgetting isn't a bug in our system, it's a feature. It's this powerful filtering mechanism. And, the story of this one incredible man really proves why.
So, meet Kim Peek. You might know him as the inspiration for the movie Rain Man. And this guy's memory was basically supernatural. He could read a book one time and recite it word for word. But his story, well, it reveals a huge secret about learning.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. It's this fascinating trade-off. If you and Kim Peek took the same test and it was all about pure memorization, he'd win, hands down. But if that test required reasoning or complex problem solving, the skills most of us actually need, you would almost certainly have the edge.
So look, the goal isn't to be a walking, talking hard drive. The real goal, the thing we should all be aiming for, is to build a network of useful knowledge, to understand things so deeply that we can apply them and connect them and create something new with them.
All right, so if forgetting is totally natural, then why does it feel like we forget everything we read? Well, the problem isn't our brains. It's that we're missing a supercritical step in the learning process.
You see, you can really break all learning down into two simple stages. Stage 1 is consumption. That's the reading, the watching, the listening. We're great at that. But stage 2 is digestion. That's the processing, the connecting, and the practicing. And that's the part we almost always skip. It's also where the real learning actually happens.
And man, the cost of skipping that stage is just staggering. Some studies suggest that when we only consume information without ever digesting it, we forget up to 90% of it. I mean, just think about that for a second. All those hours you spend reading, gone. For just a tiny 10% return on your time. This quote just nails it perfectly. Constantly trying to cram more information in without ever stopping to process it, it's like trying to wolf down a 7-course meal in one go. Your brain just gets totally overwhelmed, and it can't really retain much of anything.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, the solution is a really simple but powerful system that's designed to make sure we actually digest everything we consume.
And it's called PACER. The whole idea behind it is simple. Not all information is the same, right? So why would we try to learn it all the same way? PACER helps you figure out what kind of information you're taking in so you can use the right technique to actually process and remember it.
So, PACER is an acronym for the 5 main types of information you're going to run into when you learn anything new. That's procedural, analogous, conceptual, evidence, and reference. Let's break down what you actually do with each of these.
Okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. Once you start categorizing information as you read, the path to actually getting it becomes so much clearer because each category needs its own unique digestion method. So first up, P for procedural. Think how-to stuff, a recipe, a new function in Excel. The only way to digest this is to practice it right away. Next, A for analogous. This is when something new connects to what you already know, like explaining electricity by comparing it to water in a pipe. The key here isn't just to nod along, but to actually critique that connection. And then we have C for conceptual. This is the big what and why stuff, theories like supply and demand. For this, you absolutely have to map out the network of ideas.
And that right there is the whole point of digesting conceptual knowledge. An expert doesn't just have a list of facts in their head. They have this highly connected web of ideas. And mapping forces you to build that exact same web for yourself. You're basically recreating their brain in your brain.
All right, on to the last two, E for evidence and R for reference. Now, these can seem kind of similar at first glance. They both use this idea of store and rehearse, but how you rehearse is completely different. But here's the crucial difference. You rehearse evidence by applying it. So let's say you read a statistic about climate change. You digest that by using it to back up an argument you're making. But for pure reference stuff, like a specific date, the year a treaty was signed, the absolute best way to rehearse that is with good old-fashioned flashcards. If you mix these up, you're just wasting a ton of time.
Okay, so we've gone through all these categories and techniques.
What's the one thing, the one single habit that pulls this all together and really changes how you learn? It really just comes down to this one simple golden rule. Never, ever consume more than you have time to digest. Simple as that. If you read for 30 minutes, you got to spend some time actually processing that info before you just jump to the next thing. This simple balance is the foundation of building real, useful knowledge that sticks.
You know, when you finally make that shift in your head, from asking how much can I read to what can I really understand, it changes everything. So the real question for you isn't just what you're going to consume next, it's what are you going to choose to digest today?